Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I am excited to be here with Callie Sudbrook, who is the founder and owner of Beachside Custom Gyms. They're located in Costa Mesa, California, and they are Orange County's premier home gym design build firm. Really excited to have you on the show. Welcome to Builder Stories, Callie.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so why don't you kick us off here? Give us a little bit of your background. How did you get into construction in the first place? I know your company's kind of had a few transitions here, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory?
All right. Well, hold on to your hats. It's quite a ride. So, I will say I did not expect to be here or intend to be here, but I'm so thrilled that I am. And so currently, I'm the founder of Beachside Custom Gyms. I'm an interior designer and a remodeling contractor. It's a B2 license here in California, sort of like a little offshoot of the general B license. And I kind of got here by mistake. So I had a whole other life before this. I was a fitness director at UC Irvine. I was there for 12 years. I taught kinesiology at another local college. And it hit a point where I loved it until I didn't. A lot of the academia, BS and political mumbo jumbo. And it was like, okay, I got to get myself out of this. And so I really didn't have a plan other than I just knew I would be sitting in these soul sucking meetings going, I wonder what tile I'm going to be using for our bathroom remodel, And I was just kind of remodeling room by room, and my wife was working a ton of overtime. I was doing the work, and it just it happened, and it was so fun. And so I thought, I think I want to open my own remodeling business. And long story short, I started just doing basic stuff like bathrooms, laundry rooms, things like that, until I had a couple fitness colleagues, because that was my whole network, come to me and they said, hey, do you think you could do a garage gym for us? And I thought, that sounds like a ton of fun. And then it wasn't until the second person asked me, and I thought, I think I might need to niche down into this. And here I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people don't know, but my first company, we sold software to colleges and universities. So we actually worked with, we had the whole UC system. So I spent a lot of time working in higher ed, and you're absolutely right. It's very political, bureaucratic, slow moving. We're going to form committees to figure out who should be on some other committee to just years and years of decision making that I don't know. Yeah, wasn't for me either.
Yeah, it's a very slow moving process. Someone called it a glacially slow process, and I said, nailed it.
Yep, absolutely. So you started this kind of just, again, it sounds like some daydreaming a little bit led to creating a remodeling business. So when exactly was that, and what did it take for you to actually get the business up and off the ground?
It was a lot of not knowing what the heck I was doing and just pushing through anyway. I remember the first couple jobs I did, of course, you always kind of start with friends and you don't want to charge them too much, but I didn't know how the heck to price. And so I was doing all these jobs and not making a dime. Literally, I was just basically covering the cost of materials, I wasn't bringing home anything. And I thought, I guess this is normal. They say you're not supposed to make money in business for 5 years. But then just, this voice in the back of my head thought that can't be right, And so I just slowly started making moves to improve upon that, obviously. And I'm sure we'll get into that later. But I kind of forgot your initial question, but it was just such a wild learning curve of not knowing every day what was coming my way, whether a job was kind of going to, land in my lap. It was a lot of chaos. Let's just put it that way.
And how many years ago is this?
I started my business in 2021.
Okay, nice. And so it sounds like it was kind of just some whatever projects came about. You got to go cut your teeth on it, get in there, do some deals, but didn't really know your numbers. Certainly didn't price to make a profit. Just wanted to get the jobs flowing. And how did you beyond kind of the friends and family though? How did you start getting customers where they were actual strangers and people that you didn't necessarily have a prior relationship with?
It was when my friends started referring me to outside of like my own network and obviously referring me to their networks that it was like, okay, this is where I'm actually starting to do real projects instead of giving the friends and family discount, and it was like really learning that my pricing model, like, well, let's just say I didn't have a pricing model. I didn't know how to price. And so that was, you know, I would say my first mistake and a long string of many.
How did you come up with a price then? I mean, how did you do it? You just pulling numbers out of thin air? I mean,
Kind of like I just thought like, well, it's, probably going to take me X amount, but I had not really a whole lot of experience to know, okay, that thing that you just gave them a price on is going to take you 5 times as long. If you're in the business, it usually takes like 2 to 3 times as long. If you don't know what the heck you're doing, it takes like 5 to 10 times longer than you think it's going to take. So it was just, I think what a lot of people start to realize when they start in this business in general, in this industry, that you have to document stuff. How long do things take? You have to have a way to measure and track and, looking at your time and all the things, right? And I'm not saying anything that your listeners don't already know. It's like, yeah, obviously, right? But first getting started, not having experience in the construction industry, that was all new to me.
yeah. And so when you first like kind of came up with like the brand and the name, like what was the original name of the company?
So the original name was Beachside Interiors, and it was sort of a nod to my father-in-law who lives in Maryland, and his company is called Beachside Interiors Group, or sorry, Bayside. So he's on the bay in Maryland. We're on the beach in California. So I thought, oh, I'll kind of name it after Dave's company because it's like in the family. So I called it Beachside Interiors. And then I kind of rebranded to Beachside Interiors Remodeling. And then I thought, I'm not really doing interiors anymore. I mean, yes, the gyms are an interior aspect, but I wanted to just really go all in on that niche market of gyms and home gyms, fitness centers, all the above. And so I thought I kind of need to nix the interiors remodeling part and just really focus on the custom gym part.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that takes a lot of people a long time to sort of figure out that they've kind of spread their themselves a little too thin, trying to do too many different things. And it just, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, from an actual execution standpoint, like it can be very hard to be great at a lot of things versus niching down and being great at one thing, and it makes everything else so much easier when you can really refine and get very good at that one, particular type of job.
100%. And actually, I pulled on like my experience in the fitness world because as a coach and a trainer and all these things, there's like, even in fitness, there's different facets. It's like there's strength coaches, there's Pilates instructors, there's group X instructors, there's powerlifting, right? So it's like, if I'm a power lifter, I'm not going to know how to teach a Pilates class. So it's sort of the same thing in construction. Okay, you might know how to pour concrete, but do you know how to build a house or remodel or design it? Probably not. So even within the construction industry, there's so much nuance to that.
It's neat though. I mean, like I can't say I've ever seen like another like, custom gym, design builder out there. Like, is it more common than I realize, or is this like a very unique, sort of hidden gem of a niche that you found?
Well, I'd like to think that I'm a hidden gem, but it actually is more, it's gaining more popularity now, especially after COVID. Like that was kind of a no-brainer. And everyone always teases me like, wow, you really missed the boat on that, And it's like, yeah, I kind of did, but I'm happy that I went through my, the process that I did, obviously, at the time that I did. But yeah, it's a growing market. And in fact, I've partnered with 2 other gym design build, or actually they're just gym designers. They don't quite do the build aspect yet, but I think they're going to. But we created an association. So there's one out of Park City, Utah, called DivFit, and there's another one. Our other partner is Michael Straight from Lux Life Gym Design out of Texas. And so we're just looking to build sort of like, I don't know, we're part of the industry, like it or not. It's like every high-end home custom builder and designer, they're looking to create wellness spaces in the home these days. It's just sort of like a non-negotiable. So why not make that, like you're going to maybe hire a pool contractor, right? Okay, well, now you're going to hire a gym design and contractor.
Yeah. That's awesome. And are you working both with like home builders and getting in there at kind of at the new build level, or is it coming into existing, or a little bit of both?
It's both. So it really and I'm like looking for other opportunity too. So there's obviously like the residential side, but I've just due to the nature of my my past life and having all these fitness colleagues, a lot of them are coaches and gym owners, and so I've actually done quite a few commercial spaces as well. So it's like I feel like I'm just playing every day. Like I get to do the coolest stuff, work with the most awesome people, and it's just fun.
That's awesome. What would you say is like kind of one of your favorite sort of features or design elements that, when you go implement a gym, like this is your number one recommendation to whoever that owner might be?
Oh God, that is so hard. I obviously I want to say equipment, right? But there's not one equipment brand or manufacturer where it's like, oh, you have to have this because fitness is very dependent on what type of workouts you do and how you want to feel and all the things, right? So I can't even choose equipment. I would honestly say lighting, like layering the lighting and making sure that it's accentuating your body in a way that makes you feel motivated to work out, which I think is a lot of times, like I even see it in commercial gyms. I'm like, oh, I would not want to work out in there because you're gonna look kind of bad, like the lighting just sucks. And so I think that's a really easily overlooked aspect, but one that's also easily fixed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never even thought of that, but I mean, even doing podcasts, you got lighting when you're doing talking on stage or lit up. Like, yeah, absolutely. If you're going in a dark, dreary room, nobody's gonna want to hang out in there any longer than you have to, versus being like, feeling good in a well lit area. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
See, you're hired. If you want another job someday, then you can come work for us. You get it.
Yeah, I mean, I've also always kind of thought like, and anytime I've seen sort of that equipment where like it can kind of collapse up into the wall, or like ways to just like maximize your space, because sometimes it feels very crowded, but like you want all the equipment, but like you also want to have a nice open area where you feel comfortable kind of doing whatever that might be. So I've always kind of looked at those types as being interesting.
Well, yeah, and it's cool because like those are getting more and more popular, obviously for the home gym aspect, but there's so many different layers of it. So in California, yes, we absolutely are usually doing space saving types of equipment just because we don't have the space to move out and make these expansive new custom home builds. It's like usually we're building up and there's a basement where there's a fitness area. Or if someone has an existing home, a lot of the homes around us are like they were built originally in the 1950s and 60s. So you're really only able to do a remodel. A lot of people don't have the capacity to build up. So it's like you're kind of just using the space that you have. So we're using equipment for garages, obviously, but making it look nice. And then also something that we're offering is fitness sheds. So it's like, okay, everyone has a backyard to some extent, right? Put a fitness shed out there. It's separate from the house. You can run mini splits and lighting and everything. Make it feel really nice. And, there's your fitness space right there.
Man,
So, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's again, what I sense is like this is like the perfect like molding of like something that you're super passionate about, but you're also able to build a successful, profitable business. And like when you get to wake up every day excited to like you said, feels like you're playing. I mean that's like you've unlocked life right there. Like loving what you're doing and making money at it. Like it doesn't get much better than that.
Honestly, that's how I feel every day. So, yeah, I would agree.
That's awesome. So when you think back, again, it's been, what, like 4 or 5 years now. Like what would you say, like when you started this business, like what were some of the biggest challenges or just kind of things that like surprised you that you didn't realize was going to be, as difficult as it was?
I didn't realize the finances were going to be as difficult, or I should say, I knew it was going to be hard because that was always something that wasn't like my strong suit, right? Numbers and math and things like that. And so I kind of did what a lot of people do when they're not good at something. And I ignored it a little bit and thought, oh, it'll just work out. And oh, the details will flesh out here and there. And it obviously, as you know, they didn't. So, I had to kind of learn the hard way of like letting something sort of get bad before you can understand what happened and then make it better. And so I think that's, what we do with a lot of different things, marketing. Okay, you kind of have to do things that maybe don't work to know what does work. And I went through that for probably the first year and not really knowing my numbers, not being profitable, things like that. And then along my journey, I just kept meeting mentors at the most perfect times where it was like, oh my gosh, like you're saying exactly what I need to know. And I just kind of glommed on and like, can I learn more? Can you tell me everything you know? So I would literally buy like consulting sessions with other builders that I just really kind of had an affinity to, like, wow, they're really doing it right. They're being, great, stewards of the industry, and just tried to learn as much as I possibly could, paid them for their time or did whatever I could to just learn, because I'm like, this right here is not working.
Man, that's really smart. I see so many people that like they just keep doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different outcome. And it's like I think that's like the definition of an insanity, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just gonna keep doing that same thing, and it's like if it's not working, the first time, why do you think it's gonna work the second, the third, the fifth, the 10th? Like but like being able to have those fresh ideas and have people like who have experience, who have been there, they've done that, just kind of giving you that third party perspective, sometimes can be so helpful.
Yeah, and you really need it, honestly, because you don't know what you don't know, unfortunately.
Yeah. Would you say that like have you found yourself sort of gravitating more towards like the sales, marketing aspects, the design, kind of the project management, like where, every day, like if you get to work on kind of one specific kind of role or function within the business, what is it?
Oh, that's tough because I really enjoy marketing and a lot of like just the ideas that go into it and the brainstorming process and just finding ways to solve that thing that you're dealing with, that pain point. Because that's like fun for me. But I also enjoy the design because it's really the same type of like mechanism in my brain, I think, that sees like a client will come to me with like pain points, right? And it's like, okay, how am I going to solve this? And so it's really the same like neuron probably that just keeps getting fired. Like, okay, we have a marketing problem. How do we fix that? Okay, we have a space problem, or we got to redo our gym. How do we do this? And that's the part I love, is just sort of like reimagining something,
Yeah.
you know?
When like what does your team look like today? So is it just you? Do you have employees? Kind of what's the whole team look like?
This year I've started to grow slowly, like not as aggressively as I probably would have wanted. I'll probably have to take on some debt to do that. Debt in a good way, obviously. But for right now, it is me, my VA. He's in the Philippines. He's amazing. And then I have a photographer who just works, like a ad hoc sort of thing. Whenever we finish projects, I have a part-time project manager. And that's kind of like a really, really lean and mean sort of situation that I'm running, but I need more. Like, I definitely need a junior designer. I need a full-time project manager. And I would be happy with that and kind of see how that worked. That's my goal for the end of the year.
So are you doing are you selling the project and doing the design?
I'm doing both. I don't want to be doing both,
Yeah.
though.
How are you using your VA?
It's really for more of like the marketing and operations side of things. It's like it could range from content to, funny enough, I have him working on uploading things to my cost catalog in JobTread. So, we have this laundry list of equipment that, all these brands and all these manufacturers and different price points and photos and links and everything, descriptions. And it's like, I can't just keep this in a spreadsheet.
Right.
And so having him put stuff, like we have a master spreadsheet just in case, like, I don't know, I want to send it to someone sometime just to help them out, like a fellow gym designer or something. But what I really want and what I'm thrilled about is that the fact that it's in my JobTread cost catalog, I can literally just upload whatever that client wants and say, like within seconds, truly, like, well, this is how much your gym is going to cost on the equipment side of things. Yeah, so that's super
Yeah.
cool.
I hope you've shown him the web clipper in case, yeah. Definitely makes it a lot faster to get a whole bunch of images and products added.
100%.
So did you like at what point? I mean, like I see you've got a great looking website now. Like it looks like you kind of just very actively building and adding to it. But like at what point did you realize that you needed to, to bring on, I assume some sort of web designer, marketing agency? Like, when did you kind of take that leap?
I think it was last year. So uh, it's like with everything. You learn, okay, I need to do this thing, right? Okay, I need to build a website. So I found, I'm not going to name names, but I found this web designer that literally they just put your stuff into like a template and put it online and you have a website, right? And that was good enough for when I was like just starting out. I just needed something, right? It was very cheap. It was, just got the, got the job done. But then you start realizing, okay, that's not good enough anymore. I need to elevate what I'm doing. I need to show up a little bit differently. And so I actually did get a web designer, and I paid him like a one-time fee. He built it. And then now it's up to me to sort of maintain it. So the next step is to find someone who will both maybe redesign slightly or, do whatever tweaks need to have happen, but then someone who will manage that for me so that I don't even have to think about it at all. So it's like you kind of go through things in phases.
Sure. Are you also like, so like, are you actively, putting out blog content and trying to kind of like, drive the SEO through there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like every time we finish a project, we upload photos to that, portfolio. We write a blog about it. And then every Monday we post a new blog. And then that blog gets posted on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I also do a carousel of the topic, like a 8-post carousel, post that to Instagram. And then that same week I do a talking head that's like a mini summary of that blog. So it's like I'm trying to show up as many places as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not, again, sounds like you really kind of got all the marketing angles firing there. Are you running like ads or doing anything like that?
I did run ads for a short period of time. And what I found, and everyone told me before I ran them, I was like so excited about it. Yeah, I'm doing Google ads, Facebook ads. And they're like, oh, that didn't work for me. And I thought, I'll show you, I'm different. And then it turns out it didn't work all that well for me either, unfortunately. And you know what? It could just be timing. It could be the demographic I was chasing. It could be a lot of different things, right? Could be the content itself. So I'll probably retry it at a certain point, but it wasn't super helpful when I did do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned, countless times, like it's so important that you have somebody who really understands the ins and outs, like how to build those target audiences, like kind of the right way to sort of bid on the keywords and kind of like just actively managing, your what is your ad spend, your cost per click, cost per, customer, things like that. It's very in depth, but I can tell you, like when you find the right person to do that, whether they're, on your team or, through a marketing agency, something like that, like, the right person can definitely make it work and it can work really, really well. The wrong person, you can spend a lot of time and money and have nothing to show for it. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I know it works. It's like, but I just wasn't doing it at the capacity I think that I need to. And so there's like there's so many variables that you can tweak and change and manipulate that it's like, okay, well, we'll try it again.
Yeah. So what is kind of, to walk us through sort of the full, sales process from, somebody, finds out about you to kind of how do you sort of manage that process all the way through to, getting them to be a customer and starting the project?
Well, before I even say anything about that, if I didn't use software to manage it, my life would be awful. So two things that I do. Obviously, JobTread, just to track through the journey of where they are. Okay, are they in design? Are they in construction? Site visits, things like that. But then also I use ClickUp. It's kind of like an Asana or similar type of program where I can, just sort of have a board of all of my clients because I want my leads to be in one place and my actual physical clients to be in another place. I know some people use JobTread for both, but like personally, it's like, okay, I need them in two different places so I know those are my leads. And just kind of building that pipeline constantly. And so, but yeah, someone will come to me and it's usually through a DM on Instagram or a referral. So those are right now my two major sources of traffic, which, I'd like to obviously improve as we grow. But they'll say, hey, like, this is the space I have. Here's some photos, because I ask for, what does this space look like right now? And so the first thing we do is a discovery call. And that's just like a 10-15 minute call, just to say, it's honestly to figure out like if I'm going to be a good fit for them. Because if someone's like, I need this tomorrow, I'm like, okay, that's not going to work, So it's just to figure out, do they even have a budget in mind? Like all the things that you want to do to qualify that client. And then cool, if it sounds good, if they're on board, awesome. Next step is I used to call it a site visit, but I changed the lingo a little bit because I think emotionally there's a different context to calling something a site visit versus now I call it a design consultation, because truly that's more what it is. I'm collecting measurements. I'm consulting with them. What about this space do you not like? Or if it's a new space, what is your dream space? What does it look like, feel like? What types of equipment? What does your workout look like? So it's a pretty in-depth meeting. It's a 90-minute meeting, and I use Canvas IO, and I can do like a 3D scan of the whole site without even pulling out my tape measure. It's awesome. So I do that, take some photos, and just really get a sense of like, who is this person, And then I charge for that. So I charge $450 for that, which I didn't used to do. And I would just get like run over all the time by all these people asking me to come out and can you come out for this? Can you come out for that? And I would do it. And it's like, but they're like, they wouldn't ever call me back, So it's like, okay, I'm going to charge for this now. And then from there, it goes into a design proposal, which I build in JobTread. And I just say, hey, based on your project, on the scope, on your wish list, this is what it's going to require of my team's time to get this going. And I did forget to mention, I have a graphic designer in Bangladesh. So we're international here, But yeah, so we do the design agreement, and then we go through the design process. Then we'll do at the very end of the design process is pre-con, so that we get all of our ducks in a row. And then once that's good, they approve the final proposal in JobTread. They pay their initial. Basically, I collect like a 40 or 50%, depending on the job, and go straight into construction. So that was very lengthy, I realized, but that's really my whole process from start to finish.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so goes into construction, and so that's where, I mean, are you kind of you're handing it to your project manager there, and then are they, ordering all the materials, or they all the equipment, materials? Are using subcontractors, I assume, to do the labor?
Oh yeah. So right now I still do more of like the ordering and things like that, because I know exactly like unfortunately I'm still so small that it's like brain dump. It's like I know what goes into that project, so I'm going to purchase those materials, equipment, everything, right? But that where my project manager comes into play is taking photos on site, uploading them to the client's portal, just keeping them in the loop. Like, hey, at the end of the day, can you write up something, post it so that they know what's going on, what we did, what we accomplished, maybe if we ran into any issues, all the things that you would want to do to keep that client, in the loop, basically. So that's where the project manager kind of takes things over. And then, yeah, we have subs for just about everything. The only thing I haven't decided to sub out, just because it's like so exciting for me to do the equipment install, because I finally start to get to see all the pieces come to fruition. And it's like, okay, this is what I was designing in my head 3 months ago,
No, that's awesome.
So it's something stupid. Like I could totally hire that out, right? But it's like we get the whole team there. My lead carpenter that works with me, like he loves these days too. So it's just like a really like team group oriented effort. And it's like the clients are always pumped. Like it's just a fun day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure, again, just being able to be there, sort of capture those moments and really see them, those aha, the lights, everything's kind of comes to fruition. I mean, that's definitely the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say after the job, what do you have, like a kind of a closeout process? Like, do you stop to review, like, how do we perform on this job? Anything like that?
I would be lying if I said I did, because it's been on my to-do list for about 6 months and I have not done it yet. So I know, like, I've on my list of things to do, there's been review WIP reports for like half of the year. And it's like, I haven't done it yet. And I have a little bit of an excuse, and it's just an excuse, which is not good. But I've been switching from cash basis in my accounting to accrual basis, which like I don't want to start doing it in cash before, and then it gets messy. So I'm like, I'll just wait till I'm running accrual basis, and then I'll really start the WIP reports, and then I'll be able to track everything. So unfortunately, I'm not able to use like the software to its full capacity right now, even though I want to, because it's like, well, it's just, I don't want to have to learn something twice, basically. So
who's managing your books?
I have a bookkeeper. Oh yeah, I guess they're on my team too. I keep thinking like I don't have anyone on like payroll other than my project manager and myself. So I'm like, oh yeah, I have an accountant. Oh yeah, I have a bookkeeper. Like I have all these people, but they're contract or W-9 employees basically.
Yeah. So
Or 1099. Sorry.
So you got them. They're kind of helping with the books. I mean, what would you say though? I mean, earlier we were kind of talking about like, one of the biggest challenges and kind of really one of the most important areas you said was like understanding your profits. So where has that come from for you? Like how have you learned how to price your jobs and like how to, what profit margin are we using? Like how does that all flow through? Like have you had some hard lessons there?
Yes, as you could probably imagine. Yeah, I mean, like being profitable, as I already mentioned early on, was tough because I didn't know what I was doing, and so I actually started following a builder, and it's a design build architecture firm out in Minneapolis, and the founder Michael Anshell runs basically like a training tutorial called COPE. Cost of project execution. And it's basically like, hey, you might be pricing the job with materials and like your time for like the labor aspect, but like you have to factor in all of these other, other things. You have to factor in your overhead, and you have to factor in your profit, and you have to factor in client meetings and returns on materials, like all these little things that sort of compound. And it's like, oh, it's just an hour, or oh, it's just 30 minutes here. Like, no, that time adds up and it eats into your bottom line. And so I actually went to his course, learned so much, but I was also overwhelmed where I came to him after it was done and I said, I don't even know how I'm ever going to be profitable. Like, I'm not like charging enough. And he's like, charge more. And so I was like, okay. So I recrunched my numbers, figured out where I wanted to go. And it's like, you just got to work backwards, and I'm not exactly where I want to be. I don't think anybody ever is, right? But I'm on track to getting there because I'm doing things better. And I price very transparently. And that's another thing that I've switched from one software to JobTread because I just wanted like more ability to be transparent with what I was pricing. Like I literally show my overhead that I'm charging the client as a line item, and I show my profit because I'm a business just like Target, just like Costco. I need to generate a profit. Like I'm not just doing this for fun. Like I'm doing it for fun, but I need to be successful too, So
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, man. Again, I think it's people don't realize like, you have to make sure that you're making enough from your jobs to cover your overhead and to be able to keep the lights on and to keep growing and investing in the team. And so, it is it's a challenging exercise, especially for new businesses when you really don't know what your expenses are going to be over the next coming months and years. And like, how do you factor all that in? And it's like, I've got a financial playbook talk that I do and actually put out a model where people can take and clone it. And I'm just like, you got to create an annual budget for yourself and say, hey, here's what we want to do, at the end of the year. Let's back into how are we going to do that month by month? How many leads can we bring in? Like, where are they going to come from? Like, how much are we spending on, marketing to drive those leads? Like, what's our close rate? What's our average project size? And like, it starts to kind of help you back into, do we have the people? Do we have the budget to be able to build this business and accomplish those goals? And so, it all kind of flows back to the, like, are you charging enough to cover your future growth and your cash flow and make sure that like, you're putting enough away to keep investing in the business because so many people don't do that.
Right. And another thing that helped me actually, speaking of like cash is king, right? And so the book Profit First, so I run the Profit First system, and like there's obviously my bookkeeper and that type of accounting, but just on a day-to-day, because again, as I mentioned, I'm not a math person. I don't like, I feel too bogged down when I like go too deep into the numbers and I just start to feel overwhelmed. So it's like Profit First. It might be like rudimentary, but you know what? It freaking works to get me from point A to point B, and I can look at my bank account and know exactly where I'm at on any given day and not have to second guess like, well, let me look at my P&L, which I already don't really understand. It's like, it just makes it a lot easier. So
It's so interesting. I oftentimes tell people like, look, as crazy as it sounds, like using the time clock in JobTread, like if you don't truly know how much time you're spending working on each client, working on various aspects, like if you don't know your own production rates, like then it's going to be so much harder for you to know where are you just kind of losing money and where's all that time, it's just slipping away, and it's like you got to like have a good understanding of like how long it takes you and your team and your people to execute these projects, because like again, it's all these little things, they do add up. And when you take the culmination of all of that over the course of weeks and months and years, it could be a huge amount.
oh yeah, and it's eye-opening for two reasons. It's like, okay, you might be missing out on money that you could be charging potentially, but then also it's like maybe we could be more efficient with this, or maybe there's some slippage in that, or maybe I'm not doing this quick enough. So okay, do I find someone else to do it faster? So there's a lot of different ways that you can play that.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say? I mean, what else has been, kind of, would you say has been instrumental to kind of getting you to the point where you're at today? I mean, it sounds like you've got a good, solid business that has got a lot of opportunity ahead, but you're off the starting block. You've got something going. You got a very clear focus, mission, vision, direction. What are some of the other things that have sort of helped you to get to that point today?
I mean, so number one was kind of like knowing the numbers, understanding profit, things like that. And then the second thing was just using software to your abilities. Now, also adding a layer to that is like understanding AI and things like that. And how can we implement that into the business, and just understanding like ways to like get time back in your day, So it's like when I hear people still using spreadsheets, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, to each their own, right? Like, no judgment. But for me personally, switching to a software-based estimating and proposal, and like the fact that JobTread is like seamless with my QuickBooks, like it's just so much time and mental energy that I didn't know I was spending doing the other methods that I used before in the past. And it's like, oh, like you start using it and it's like, wow, that took so much off my plate. Or just like the mental bandwidth that you didn't realize was going on in the background, when you like your computer has too many programs running in the back and you don't realize that you close those out. You're like, oh my gosh, my computer goes so much faster now, right?
No, no,
Same thing.
It's crazy how like, I mean, those little things again, like that the administrative work, the things that like take you away from focusing on what you're passionate about, delivering value, providing a great experience, delighting your customers, like that is like what, everyone wants to be focused on. And that's what, and excites them and gets them going. But like, you can't neglect the blocking and the tackling. You just got to figure out how do you do it as efficiently as you possibly can, wherever you can automate. Obviously automation is going to be way better than doing something manual, but like, just finding those ways to have better tools, to have better processes, to be more efficient, like it can free you up so much. And it just, again, it leads to a happier day-to-day life. Like I'm not doing the things that I don't want to be doing, and we can let computers and software and AI and just kind of go do that stuff for me while I go do what I want.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the hardest thing about starting a business is you don't have systems yet. You have literally not a system for anything that you do. And so it takes so much manpower and energy and time to do anything in your business, right? So it's like the second you start getting the software and you start implementing processes, it's like it just frees you up,
How do you identify where to go try to tackle, like a bottleneck or somewhere to implement a new process? And like, are you kind of, trial and error? Are you documenting the process? Like, how do you kind of go about implementing a new process somewhere?
So my VA works on doing Playbooks for us. So like if I have him do a task, like what's the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell? It's like, hey, every time you're doing something multiple times usually. So it's like, okay, I've had him post several YouTube videos. All right, well, I thought it's time now. Like we should have a playbook for this, right? So hey, do this task, but then document everything you do from start to finish. I'll kind of lay it out like this would be step 1, step 2, and then he kind of fixes it and whoa, we actually forgot a step here, so he'll add it in. So it's just really like refining that. And so we have a whole folder in our drive of just playbooks, for marketing. It could be, I have one for JobTread. So even though, you guys have amazing tutorials, it's still like, hey, this is where you find this tutorial, and I can even backlink it in there. So that's awesome.
No, I mean, I think, there's obviously a ton of resources, out there online and everywhere, but like, it's all about like taking the time to really like customize it for your business. And like, again, like you're creating your own buy-in to this process by like, really detailing it out. Like, how is this going to work for me and our business and our team? And how are we going to follow this playbook? And look, maybe a month in, 3 months, 6, 12 months, whatever it is, like, we're not doing it exactly that way. Like, let's kind of modify and adapt, and like you can continually improve. But again, I think it's awesome that the key is you're documenting it all, and you've got one shared repository with all these playbooks. And so like again, in the future, as you keep building out your team, you're gonna your onboarding process will be so much easier than so many times I see business owners, they hire someone and think they're just going to learn by osmosis, hanging around and somehow read your mind and know the processes. And it's like, that's not how it happens, people. You got to document it.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you can't read someone's mind of like how to do a new job. I mean, you need guidance. And oftentimes in small businesses, the owner, the founder, whoever, we don't have the time to train somebody on every single aspect. So you have to have some sort of system.
Yeah. So I'm curious. You talked a little bit earlier about this, like this association that you've come together with some others to form. Like, what's the bigger vision here? What do you in the next 5, 10 years? Like, where do you want to see your business in particular, and then kind of, it seems like maybe this larger kind of community that that you're looking at creating.
Well, I'll start with the association because it's still so new. I mean, we've just joined forces several months ago, so we're still kind of figuring it out, seeing where all three of us want to take it. But I think it's just going to be, we kind of envision it being like almost this Builder 20 group or Builder 10 group or something to that extent where, hey, we're getting the brightest minds in all of the nation. Or I even have a guy in Canada. And it's like, hey, let's figure out how to make, best practices for our industry, for what we're doing with gym design. What should it look like? What does pricing look like? Like, even just in our initial conversations, they were like, you're charging that? And I'm like, yeah. So it's like, we all need to be on that playing field, because if one person's charging a lot and the other person's charging a little, we're diminishing value, and it's creating a bad situation. So it's just getting all on the same page, making sure we're sharing resources, because again, we're a community and we want to keep building each other up, and rising tide lifts all boats sort of mindset. And then with my own business, I really see it going national. So I have done some like small targeted projects that are virtual only in other aspects of the nation. So one was in Washington. Another one I'm working on right now. We're in discussions right now, but it's in Idaho. And then, yeah, so it's just really like gaining, I guess, not the experience necessarily of how to do virtual design, but gaining the experience of like, I don't know, marketing it properly to outside of my own audience. Like, I don't have that experience yet, and I'm curious how to accomplish that.
Do you think, like, would you still end up looking kind of to have, some boots on the ground in those markets where they could actually go in and do the design consultation, sort of manage the project from there, but still kind of have you as a back office, sort of centralized resource where you come in for some of the design, sort of overseeing kind of the project and the estimation and all of that. But like, ultimately, do you think that you'd still need someone out there?
Yes and no. It's going to depend on like the scope of the project, right? So like for some projects, I can foresee just doing the design or some sort of like design consultation to like a bigger capacity is going to fit the bill. Like some designers, for example, who do like a whole home, they might be sort of put off by the fact that like, well, I don't want to compete with another designer on my project. But if it's sold as more of like a consultation, maybe that tempers it a little bit and it's not so scary because I don't want to come and take over someone's whole project. I just want to do the fun part, like I just want to do the gym and that's it. So I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. But then there are some other designers and even builders or architects where they're like, I don't want to do the gym. I don't care about it, but this client wants it. Can you just handle the whole thing start to finish? And it's like, great. Yes, absolutely. And so my vision is that if we can't be there boots on the ground with my team and my contractors and, things like that, or my subs, trade partners, I should say, I can help identify winners in their circle, in their area based on the groups that I'm associated with. So like NAHB, NARI, like, all these different organizations that, just about everyone in that organization is going to be top notch. They're going to be reputable. They're going to be ethical, all these things, So yeah, I definitely see there's a huge opportunity there that I'm excited about.
I mean, I almost wonder if there's like a way where it's like, you kind of are creating this like kind of coaching, opportunity where, you can come in and coach these other people who are doing, the interior remodels, but might want to have, some sort of niche down into something maybe they're more passionate about. Obviously you flushed out the model, you got the
Right.
systems, the processes, like, could you set others up for success and then, essentially just kind of somehow, play some ongoing role, but more kind of in that coaching capacity.
I think there's going to be like this weird intersection of like my business and then what the association is trying to accomplish. And there's going to be like this merging of both of those things. I think that's my feeling.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, again, it's just looking at your work. I mean, you do great work, and it's so apparent that like you really care, and you don't cut the corners. You put in the effort. You got clean design, great implementation. Delighted customers. So you're doing all the everything right. That sounds like you talked about earlier, maybe wanting to grow the team a little bit more. Trying
Sure.
to get get a few more people in there, and is that is that kind of in the near next 12 months type deal where we want to get.
Oh yeah, like next 6 months. I like if I don't do it in 6 months, I'm gonna lose my mind. So it needs to happen. I need to make it happen. It's scary and it's things that keep me up at night. But every business owner will tell you this. Like it was scary and they didn't want to do it, and then the second they did take on like whatever it was, a new person or hire or whatever, it's like, "Ugh, I wish I would have done that sooner." That's always the response. So it's
Yeah.
I just gotta bite the bullet.
I mean, it definitely, I'm a big believer in like, identify the roles, the responsibilities, that you need to fill, and then put them out there just, on your website, put them out on the career boards, but like just be patient.
Yeah.
It could take a long time to find the right person who's going to be a great fit, who's going to be part, kind of really help embody the culture, create the culture, especially earlier on, those early people, that's like your core, right? And you got to have a super strong core. So, however long it takes, but, I think, referrals are obviously great. Just like with customers, it's great to get referrals on people who might be a good fit to come work for you.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with subs too and your trade partners. It's like I've had some like I wouldn't say I've ever had a bad experience with any trade partners so far, but there's some that I like to work with more than others. And those are the ones that are always on my jobs because it's fun, they do it right, and the clients love, like just everything about that job with them goes well. And even if we run into issues, they make it right. So it's like those are the people that I want on my team, whether or not they're on payroll, they're still part of my team.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it. I mean, and we kind of, we like to describe it as like it's your power team, right? Like
Yeah.
it's all the people who are involved with your business, whether, they're 1099 or, W-2, like it doesn't really matter, right? Like, as leaders, we have to create, this vision and have the, the core values that, we all embody and attract to this greater mission that we're all working towards. And I think like, when you start looking at, just kind of this holistic, like, here is my team of people, whether they're, partners or employees, it doesn't matter. Like as a unit, we are functioning and we are going and we're driving forward, and this is what we want to accomplish. And, I tell people all the time, like, you're not going to be able to hire enough people to come in and do marketing great, but like you can spend some money and you can hire an agency who has a big team of people who they have all the right skill sets and different, experiences in the different kind of facets of marketing. And so it's you don't have to try to hire everything in-house to be able to be great at those things, but you do have to make sure, someone is focused on these things and we're not dropping balls.
Yeah, and you have to identify like who are those partners that are already winners in whatever they're doing, and then find a way to make those people part of your team or those companies part of your team. Yeah, for sure.
You like, what do you do anything for your trade partners to like kind of make them feel more involved, or do you guys have kind of events or celebrations, or how do you kind of keep them feeling part of the culture?
I don't know. I think we're just always like connected on like Instagram and stuff and checking in constantly. And on the start of a job, I take all of their business cards and I put them into one of those like door hanging bags, and I walk it around to all the neighboring houses, and with a card from us with our branding that says, hey, pardon our dust, we're doing a project. Thanks for your patience. And here's our trade partners. So if you ever have one of these things that you need to hire for, drywall, plumbing, electrical, we trust these people. And so we want to share them with you. And so that, I think, goes a long way for my trade partners. Like when I said that, they're like, you're going to do that? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like, I trust you on my project, so I want to tell the world, and just like knowing their birthdays and sending them a gift or, whatever that may be. So like, I haven't gotten quite to the point where I'm throwing these massive trade partner parties or anything like that, but that's coming. That is definitely coming.
Yeah. I mean, that is awesome that you go around and you're literally marketing for them,
Exactly.
just spreading the word. I mean, I can't say I've ever met anyone who wouldn't say, hey, call me and I'll GC it for you and bring in all the trades. But I mean, again, good for you and good for them to, get that word out there. And I mean, it gives them now even more reason and incentive for you to win more projects, because they know that one project could turn into 5 or 10 more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing that I do to, going back to like the marketing piece and knowing that like these projects are going to turn into more projects is like the more eyeballs you have on a project, the better. And so when I finish a project, I do a ton of content on Instagram for it, the pre and post and a carousel post and the reels and all the things, the transformation. And I tag my trade partners in all of those posts and just say, hey, we couldn't have accomplished this without them, so that people can look in that, caption area and go, oh, well, I need someone to do electrical. They did a phenomenal job. They can see it. They can, look at how great of a job it was and go, yeah, I'm going to call them. So
yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, look, as we wrap up here, I'm curious, any final, thoughts or, advice that, you would want to give others, thinking back again, if you knew what you know now and you were starting all over again, like what do you wish you could have done or what might have done differently? Just any top advice here that you might want to share.
I really want to encourage people to be maybe a little bit vulnerable and ask for help, because that can be really hard to do. And I came into this like as a second career, so I was like, well, I got to get a head start on this because I'm not getting any younger. So I think I really dove deep into that of asking for help, where, if you don't ask, you don't get. And so there's so many talented builders and industry partners and people out there that like truly want to give their time or to help someone else be successful. And you might get a no here or there, but it's probably just because they're way too busy, and that's fine. Keep going, but really just, asking for help from whatever you need, financial stuff, trade secrets. I don't know. I don't know that they're secrets anymore, but you know what I'm saying? Just anything, or I should say nothing's off limits,
Yeah. No, that's awesome advice. It sounds like, again, you've had a lot of people that have helped you along the way, to the extent that others can go seek that guidance, those mentorships, coaches. I mean, it can really save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, a lot of money. It's about, being proactive though, not just sitting back and waiting for things to come to you. Like, you got to go make those opportunities happen. You got to go seize the moments, find the people that can drive you and your business forward, and you can build something very successful. And I think at the end of the day, though, like, the coolest thing I see here is like your passion. Like, I love that. Like, I can tell you're so happy with what you do, and like, but at the end of the day, like, you really can't ask for anything more than just like to be able to live a happy and fulfilled life. And I want others to encourage, or to encourage others, like, figure out how do you get yourself into that happy place, doing what you love, waking up every day excited to go conquer the day. Like, it really doesn't get any better than that. So, like, awesome job figuring that out. I'm sure it took a lot of hard work to get there. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have probably been poured, into this thing. But like,
Mostly tears.
hey, you represent it well. So, kudos to you for, at least making it look easy and making it look fun.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Callie. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing all of this. Look forward to seeing all of your future success.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate this opportunity. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.